mentioned New Met for London and putting the community first. Is that the same thing, or are they two separate things? And if they are or aren't the same thing, putting the community first, in what ways wasn't the community put first? The second question is a bit longer. It brings together, when you're listening to people talking, we've heard already many of the issues, including from Bishop, to do with stop and search and so on. So there's a lot of things that are unresolved issues. So depending obviously on people's experiences when they either have had experiences in the public with the police, things have happened and those things have caused pain, which is long lasting. And it's clear that the police have been trying to do things to resolve the issues. It's absolutely clear that that has happened. And the police have actually gone quite far in addressing or trying to address many of the problems of the past. But there are many unresolved issues still within people. And those issues are like wounds that aren't allowed to heal when an individual within the service does an egregious stop and search, or we read of situations like the young girl we were talking earlier in Hackney who was strip searched whilst being on her cycle. So all of that brings back to people's memories that things haven't been resolved, no matter all of the good work that the police have done. So how does the Windrush come into this? Well, the Windrush community, when they came over to the UK, that generation, not just on the first ship, one of the things that the community had from the Caribbean is incredible similarity with people already over here, both in terms of dress. When you look at the old film footage, they could be Europeans in terms of dress. Language, yes, you know, it's slightly different, but it's English. Religions, Christian. In terms of culture, the musical influence of that community, ska music and so forth, and later on reggae and so forth. And even the interest in other popular forms of music, soul. So there was incredible similarity between the Windrush community and those in the UK. Sadly, many, not all, rejected them, gave them a hard time and so on. But one of the successes of the Windrush community is in their ability and their children's ability and their children's ability to integrate well, to mix. And that has created incredible diversity, not just in terms of mixed families and so on, but opening up to cuisines and music and ways of doing things where there is a real bond. And that's why there was an outrage when the treatment of many people from the Windrush generation who are being sent back home when they shouldn't have been and so forth. How does this relate to the police? Well, one of the things that can be done, because the police are trying and doing great work, and the community are skeptical, one of the things, the lessons they can learn from the Windrush community is better mixing and integration. So the question here is, are there lots of programs in which the police are getting in the community, not just in uniform, but playing with kids, you know, whether it's the football, the basketball. I know going into schools has been something, you have had police officers in the schools, but actually in a much more integrated kind of way, not a sterile environment where it's a classroom, but in ways in which police literally are hanging out with the community so that when they do see people, the listening is easier to do because they know the individuals involved. So the question is, as either a suggestion or even a question, can the police do more to have greater community integration, not just in terms of having officers living in the communities, but actually moving with the people, being in spaces where the community are, the local Tesco's or Sainsbury's, having a desk there, opportunities to talk, wandering around Ealing Shopping Centre, saying hello, pressing the flesh, shaking the hands, popping into church services and saying, hi, I'm your local police officer, I'm here to help. You know, that kind of stuff. Take that kind of lesson from the Windrush community and get integrated.
I really love that. Okay, thank you. So, thank you. Let's start with, so I was tapping away there. Now, New Met for London and putting communities first, it's the same thing. Because that is the aim, the number one pillar for the New Met for London. So it's putting communities first, and the number one pillar is a stronger ever neighbourhood policing. There is also a second one which relates to the first. It might seem a bit abstract, but it isn't, and that is strengthening public protection, i.e. safeguarding. Because a lot of vulnerable people out there. So those are the two primary aims for the New Met for London. And more about that later, but that is essentially, so in answer to that question, that is the first bit. Now, you're right about unresolved issues that have caused lasting pain. I'm not sure those scars will ever go away, I have to be frank. Somehow, we need to understand and acknowledge those scars, but we also have to collectively move forward together. The scars, I hope, one day will heal, but I know that's going to be a long and painful process, and I know also we will, whilst trying to get it right, we will also get it wrong. And that's one of the difficulties we've got, so we've got a real uphill struggle on that. But I do know a lot of the work Ronnie's done, Dinkish done, and the other cops have done here, hopefully, some of that is working in the community. You'll tell me if it isn't, Bishop, I know. But like everything, we also, as well as driving, because I do check my mirror, but I have to keep my eye on the road in front as well. And that is collectively how we work together. I liked your point about the local communities. So I'm going to talk about Child Q. So let's be frank. Without going into too much of the detail, because I'm not citing the full details out over in Hackney, but number one, officers who are not schools officers should never have been called into that school. Number two, they should never have searched that child. Period. The school's officers were off that day, which did not help. So we are where we are with it, and the public outrage that has followed on that. And there is a report that is now out that looks at a number of facets here, including education service, education. It looks at the whole gamut of what's happened there. I'm not going to comment any further on that because that is still being debated and discussed in the public arena, and I'm not cited or educated enough on it to be able to fully have that debate with you here. I'm happy to give you the overviews, and I've got an opinion on that which I've shared with you. Let's be frank, they shouldn't have been searched, and we need a much greater understanding, around how we interface with young people. Yep. Yes, it was, and it has come out. I'm going to go on to the Windrush, because it's Windrush, isn't it the anniversary yesterday? So, and there was the only reason why I questioned it today, yesterday, because my commander was down at a Windrush celebration earlier on today. So, interesting. They had similar dress to Europeans, religion, musical, and I do love the music because I actually do listen to a bit of soul, and I do like, and I will confess I do like a bit of jazz as well. But the Windrush, I think, is going to be symbolic going forward, because a lot of things have come out from that generation. Like everything, what supported the economy, we all were integral to the economy, and the generation integrated into the economy. They didn't just integrate in the communities, they integrated well into the economy. And I think the Windrush generation got a huge amount to be proud of. And I think us as policing, we've got an awful lot to learn from it. What's important right here was the legacy set by the Windrush generation. And we see an awful lot from that now. So, are there programs with police getting into the communities? Yes. So, any of you heard of our Volunteer Cadet Corps? Volunteer Cadets? Volunteer Cadet Corps. I thoroughly, we've got a thriving one for Ealing. If you have youngsters and up to teenagers, it's the equivalent to Cubs and Scouts. And we bring everyone from all sections, segments of the communities, etc. Bring together now, and we've got thriving volunteer cadet corps. The volunteer cadets are brilliant because they will get exposure to things they wouldn't normally get exposure to. See things, meet people, meet friends they wouldn't necessarily do. And I thoroughly recommend, and Dinkesh or Ronnie can put you in touch with our local cadet leaders. Next, we do have pop-up stuff, and what I'm looking at as we go forward with the Stronger Ever Neighbour policing, we go more into the pop-up shops within your Asda, your Morrisons, your Lidl, etc. And that we are going to be doing more of that. What I can't do is put loads of 24-hour bases because I just don't have the people to staff them. But what I can do is make sure we've got a much better presence in our, where they'll go down peak time and they'll just plot up with a laptop and a desk, because that's what we want to do more of. I do like the point about getting to the congregations. We've had the same requests, interestingly, from the Gurdwaras, and we've had the same requests from the mosques as well. The answer is yes when we can, but yes we will do, because there are lots of places of worship here. But the answer to you is yes. There's something called coffee with a copper. Huh? I'm very happy that we'll provide the coffees. I think I don't know what the budget code is for that, but go on, mate. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, let Dinkesh talk about that, because I know I'm going to get myself into trouble.
So just on that, so we provide all the teas and coffees, and the next one I believe is on Monday, isn't it, on Southall Broadway, where we'll also have an engagement stall as well. So if there's anyone interested in possibly a career in the organisation, there'll be someone to take down the details and give their names. And it's just an opportunity for you to speak to local police officers, address any problems that you may have, and what we can do to help. So yeah, if you can make it, we'll be pleased to see you there.